and welcome to Forever Rugby on Forever Sport for today's player rating show. Something we did yesterday was quite popular. Everybody seemed to enjoy it, so we will be doing it for all the British and Irish Alliance games. Basically, what's happened is I'm going to put a link in the description right now, and Romania is about to beat Argentina. What? That's interesting. You would have thought. I'm actually watching the cricket at the moment, so I actually haven't watched any of that game. Didn't think it was really worth watching, but yeah, well, fair enough. Go Romania, 17-7. That's a hell of a bit interesting. Anyway, but in terms of the show tonight, yeah. So basically, the link in the description is a rating platform, so you can go onto our website and you can go and rate the players between 1 and 10 and decide what you thought of their game, and then we're going to go through it now. We're going to sort of see what we all think, give our ratings, sort of see where everybody's sitting, see what everybody reckons and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, I'll give it a few minutes for people to try and to go and vote and sort of get settled in and stuff like that. A couple of interesting players. We'll be rating both the British and Irish Lions as well as the Sigma Lions. So we'll be having a look at both those sides, and I think that, yeah, I mean, kind of mixed reactions to the game. You know, a lot of people saying that the Sigma Lions are poor, and some people sort of panicking and stuff. Some people being a bit more sort of measured about the whole situation and looking at perspective and looking at the sides, looking at what we can come to expect from the different sides and stuff like that. Some people sort of saying that the British and Irish Lions were very impressive. Some people saying they weren't very impressed. But I think, you know, one thing we can sort of probably all agree on is the fact that I thought that Josh Adams was very good today. I think that he'll probably get the best rating. The official man of the match was Hamish Watson, which I thought was quite an interesting call. I mean, imagine scoring 4 tries and not getting him man of the match. I think you'd be pretty peeved. You've also got Ivan van Rooyen's press conference. It'll be up after this, kind of reflecting. And I think he wasn't drawn too much into bad performance in the big scoreline stuff like that. He said it's all about what they can take away from the game. I think he said that, you know, he thinks that it was very good exposure to that sort of intensity. He says, you know, I'm going into the United Rugby Championship, you know, they'll be expected to play against sides who are, they've got test match players. You know, he said that every sort of side, the average side they'll play, he said will have sort of, 10 plus test players in their side as a sort of average. So it was very much a learning curve for the Sigma Lions, and I think they'll have to adapt. But I also think that I'm hoping that what we've seen in the last couple of weeks is we need to start bringing a couple of players in. I mean, you got the Bulls who are signing players left, right, and centre. You got the Sharks who are signing a couple of players. Even the Stormers are looking to sign some players. And the Lions, there's just nobody coming in. I think the only players who have come in recently are the likes of, Fred Zalinger. And, I mean, nothing particularly exciting is there. I mean, rumours that Edwin van der Merwe might be making the trip up to the Lions. But you've got to start bringing in some big players, some big-name players. Players in the peak of their powers, not just players who are either past it or sort of very exciting youngsters. I'm all for very exciting youngsters. We saw a couple of them today. But if you're going to compete at the highest level, you've got to have top-quality players. And the reality at the moment is that the Lions just don't have enough of those. And that's kind of what's going wrong for the side at the moment. So it's sort of back to the drawing board, back to the Currie Cup. They're very much Currie Cup contenders. They'll be back into the Currie Cup action next week, Saturday, on the 10th of July. They'll be up against, I don't know who they're playing next weekend. I'm assuming it'll be a Pumas, probably the Griquas, the Cheetahs, or the Western Province. If I'm right, considering that the Bulls are playing next Saturday, so it's not the Bulls. So I'm assuming it'll be Griquas or Cheetahs. That would be my guess, seeing that the Sharks are, well, it could be the Sharks, I suppose. Sharks are against the British and Irish Lions on Wednesday at But yeah, please do go get voting on that link there. Go and give your votes, stuff like that. I just want to give it a few minutes so that everybody can lock their votes in before we go through it ourselves. But let me know who you thought were standouts for both sides. What were you impressed with? Who weren't you impressed with? Was there a specific player that you thought was really subpar, really didn't wasn't up to stand on either side? What changes would you look to make from either side? I mean, the British and Irish Lions will probably change quite a lot for Wednesday. I'm sure the likes of Dan Bigger will come in, Ewan van der Merwe, Robbie Henshaw in the pack. I'm sure we'll start seeing, Curry and maybe a start for Sam Simmons. You'll start probably seeing Henderson, Tad Byrne, Tad Furlong, and all of them will start coming in on Wednesday. And, after that, it's the Bulls, and then they're into the last week before they start the test. After the Bulls, it's the SAA on Wednesday, which should be a really good game. I mean, that's the official South African second team. So basically our B team, the Springbok B team. And then they've got the Stormers on the Saturday, and after that, a week later, it will be Test match rugby for 3 weeks, and that's the big ones. Those are the big ones. So it's about getting past these games. You can't really afford to lose any of these games. It's one of those things as provincial unions, you've got nothing to lose, everything to gain, and there's just so much that you could lose as a British and Irish Lions side. It's all very well when it goes well today and you go and score 56 points, but if you lose to one of these provincial unions, well, you're not going to hear the end of it. So it's a high-risk situation in many ways, playing the union. I mean, it's in theory, it should always be sort of chalk and cheese in terms of the quality, because, I mean, these provincial unions, would struggle even if they had their Springboks, and they don't have their Springboks, and it's a 46-man Springbok squad, so it's a really big Springbok squad, which makes everything that little bit harder. But yeah, so just keep locking in your votes. With the link over there, I see there's a couple of people who are voting now. First of all, thank you very much to everybody who was on the watch along today. Another really, really cool watch along. The last 2 days have been really cool. We're pushing. Subscribers are right up. We're almost pushing on to 2,100 subscribers, which is really cool. We had a couple of numbers in mind that we wanted to try and hit with our coverage of the tour, and we're definitely getting close to those at the rate we're going. So please do keep it up. As I said, please keep smashing the like. Please keep subscribing. And I think that I think that we'll start with the local Lions, the Sigma Lions. We'll start with the Sigma Lions there, and we'll start with the front row. And I thought that the front row was actually pretty good for the Sigma Lions, because I thought that the whole idea was to try and bring on a better front row in the second half. And I actually thought that the starting front row coped much better than the second front row did. PJ Botha, I'm not particularly happy with him because he was at fault for that Hamish Watson try. Just one-on-one tackling wasn't good enough from him. So that was very frustrating to see. But if we look at Nathan Macbeth's game, for example, he made 6 carries, 7 tackles, didn't miss a single tackle. I thought he was pretty solid, actually, was Nathan Macbeth. Was pretty good at scrum time. So I'm sort of leaning towards a 6 or a 7. I mean, it's difficult. I mean, as a prop, what did he do wrong? He didn't miss a tackle. Probably was his fault for the try that Wyn Jones almost scored, but it was ruled out in the end. So it would be harsh to sort of go against him for that. So I'm kind of leaning towards a 7 from Nathan Beth. I thought he was very solid at scrum time up against Kyle Sinclair. So yeah, I'll go with a 7. Just to see what other people are sort of saying. I'm very interested to sort of see what people are going to go with. So people are going with a 6. So I've gone a little bit higher than most people. Interesting enough, I think I was quite harsh on the Springboks yesterday, and I think the reason I was harsh on the Springboks yesterday is probably why I'd be a bit more lenient to the Lions, and that's about the golf and quality. The Springboks are expected to be so much better than Georgia, and so when they aren't, you kind of tend to judge them a little bit harsher. Whereas the Lions, for example, are not supposed to compete at all. They're supposed to be very far off the British and Irish Lions, so maybe they're just sort of more of the benefit of the doubt. However, PJ Botha, I was very frustrated with. I mean, you talk about one-on-one tackling in tackles win matches, and I mean, Hamish Watson I know is a fantastic player, and he had a very good game again today. Did Hamish Watson, but you got to front up at the end of the day. It was quite simple. They scored a try because he missed the tackle. We also lost 2 lineouts in the first half. So PJ Botha made 6 carries, 3 tackles, 2 missed tackles. I mean, I thought it was pretty ordinary. One didn't win a turnover on the ground. He was trying quite hard to try and win a turnover, but didn't really manage to get any of them. So I'm kind of leaning towards a 4 for PJ Botha. I thought he was generally. I thought Jakob Osaki was much better when he came on. He looked like he. So 5.3. So I've got a bit lower for PJ Botha. I was just very frustrated that Hamish Watson tackle. I think it probably would have been a 5 for me, except that tackle was so important, and you've got to make it. You can't. You got to front up and make those tackles, and he didn't, and as a result, they scored a try. Ruben Schumann, the experienced man, the most capped for the Lions, 30 years old, has got Premiership experience playing for Gloucester. Also got Springbok experience. Scrummed pretty well. Made 5 carries. Pretty good with his ball carrying actually. Also made 4 tackles. He missed 2 tackles. Won a turnover. I think probably leaning towards a 7. I think probably with Nathan Macbeth. Just because they were so solid at scrum time. I was against a proper front row. So to be able to front up and be able to keep it, I think Ruben Dre deserves some good credit there. So I'm actually going to go with probably a solid 7 for Ruben Dre. Probably should have been a 6. Look, I think it's difficult. Jobs, people go to the 6, so maybe I actually need to probably adjust mine one back. Cosmo Good Evening says Sharks are better and should be a good game. In theory, it should be a good game, but I must admit, I think that Sharks pack lacks a lot of grunt. And I think that, you know, they tried to bully the Lions today, but that tight five for the Lions I thought was pretty solid. I mean, Ruben Schumann and Reinhard Northknuckle stood up for today. And I look at the Sharks, and I think that front row of Kwesi Mona and Kuta Mkuno and Fez and Bata, I think they're going to struggle a little bit. I think the Sharks' backline's pretty good, but I think that, I don't know, I'm not quite sure how the Sharks are going to go about it, to be honest. I think that they've got some very good players, but also, you know, a couple of players who I think could be exposed. It also depends on who's fit and who's available. You know, I mean, Pepsi Buthelezi is a very important player, but if you've got somebody like Mpilo Gumede suddenly starting at 8th man, you know, that's not ideal for the Sharks. But it should be quite a good game. That'll be on Wednesday. We'll obviously be live for it as well. So, Ruben Schumann, he's become a bit of an enforcer for the Lions, trying to sort of do that Evan Etzebeth role. He carried the ball up quite a lot. I'm actually going to go up here and change Andre to a 6. I think I can, actually, without plugin. Yeah. And I'm doing that so I can give Ruben Schumann so he actually got a 5.7, so I actually went much higher than what people were rating Andre. Ruben Schumann carried the ball up 10 times. He made 6 tackles, but missed 4. So probably leaning towards a 6 for me. I mean, he was a nice ball carrier, was Ruben Schumann. Yeah, it was reasonable at line-out time, but you know, they did win 2, so probably sort of sitting between a 5 and a 6 for me. Actually, probably go with a 5 for Ruben Schumann. I think, you know, to miss 4 tackles is not great. 4.7, yeah, people are sort of agreeing. I think he missed too many tackles. Had a couple of nice carries, but yeah, your defense is the important thing, and that was where the gulf of quality was the most. The British and Irish Lions players, they made their tackles, whereas the Sigma Lions were guilty of not making their tackles. Reinhard Northknuckle, the youngster, well, I mean, I say the youngster, they're both 23 years old, but Reinhard Northknuckle is very much sort of more highly rated to a certain degree than Ruben Schumann. He's played at SS schools, he's also captained the side, so they really back him as one for the future. His game reads as follows: 3 carries, 11 tackles, 3 missed tackles, 3 meters game, 1 pass. I think he was better than Ruben Schumann. So I'm sort of tending towards that 6 mark. So I think probably a 6 is about fair. I reckon we'll probably sit with a sort of 5.5. 4.7, I think that's, yeah, people are going to rip into the Lions. I think it's, as I said, I think if you add their perspective when you consider who they are and what they're playing against, you know, I'm sort of always going to be a little bit more sort of lenient. Steve Cecil saying Gwenny. I'll tell you what, he would have gotten a big score if he had scored that try, but no support play whatsoever, so I felt sorry for him. But he made 6 carries, he made 11 tackles, missed 2, 1 clean break, 1 pass, 1 defender beaten. Sort of sitting around maybe a 6 as well. For Sangweni. If he had scored that try, I would have booted it up. He had some good moments, but yeah, I think it was a tough night for him. Yeah, so we're in agreement there on a 6. Chios game in the bench didn't work for the Sigma Lions at all. Yeah, well, unfortunately, I think there wasn't much quality. I think that, you know, Dan Creel didn't add much when he came on. In fact, he missed a tackle that led to a try. Fred Zailing, I thought, was horrible when he came on. Emmanuel Tuka and Ruben Australia weren't too bad, but the front row didn't work at all. And Morne van den Berg, maybe his decision making wasn't great either. So yeah, Grant Swaz says, good evening. Grant says, didn't watch enough of the game to rate, but interested to see what the millions watching have to say. Well, so far I think they've been quite harsh on Northknuckle here. So next up you've got Vincent Shatuka. What a performance from him. I mean, get him. I tell you what, if anybody's injured don't come in with this Marcel Coetzee nonsense. If anybody's injured in the box camp, that's the man you call it. He was absolutely immense today for the Lions. He scored that try, and I thought that he had done a shoulder. I thought that was the end of his game, but nope, you can't keep him out. He ended up playing 80 minutes, made 9 carries, he made 13 tackles, 2 missed, 27 meters gained, 2 passes. He scored a very good try. Sort of sitting in probably a 7. I think he was the best Lions player. So if I gave Nathan a bet at 7, I'd probably give Vincent Tuka a 7, but he scored a try, so I'm going to give him a solid 8. I thought he was fantastic. Really, really impressive performance from Vincent. 7.3. Yeah. So we're sort of sitting there. Some people going a little bit lower than me, but I think that he was really, really good. I thought I was so chuffed to see him putting in that kind of shift. I think he's a definite future Bok, and I thought that he was worth every piece of his metal today. The captain, Frankie Horn, I was also very impressed with Frankie Horn. You know, set up pretty much was responsible for 2 of the tries scored, the 2 tries that were scored. You know, set up literally try assisted for Ras McLaren, was the man who went down the blind side when he set up the try for what would eventually be Vincent Tutuka. His game, stats wise, reads 4 carries, 41 meters gained, 6 passes, 4 defenders beaten, 2 clean breaks, a try assist, 6 tackles made, 1 missed tackle, as well as a turnover 1. So I'm sort of sitting on a 7. I think Vincent Tutuka probably had a better game, but I was very, very impressed with Frankie Horn. So let's see what everybody else reckons. 7.3. Okay, so some people are going higher, but we're sort of sitting in around there. Carlswell says, please address him by his full name, future Springbok legend Vincent Tutuka. Yeah, look, I'm so excited for when he gets that call up. Not if, when. Been putting in so many hard yards over the years. Becomes such an important player for Lions. He's our best player. Him and Wondersi Similani are our best player by a country mile. Dylan Smith. I wasn't particularly impressed with Dylan Smith. I'm not a massive Dylan Smith fan. I think that he's sort of failed to impress in a lot of opportunities he's got. I think Morne van den Berg's definitely one more for the future. I think the Lions could use a scrum half, to be honest. I think Andre Warner sort of blows a bit hot and cold. Can play very well. Can be a little bit of a liability. But I thought Dylan Smith was a little bit slow and a little bit... just sort of really kind of struggled to affect the game. It's always difficult to look at a scrum half stats. I mean, you'll just have lots of passes, but 48 passes, 1 offload, 5 tackles. Didn't miss tackle, to give him his credit, to give him his due, but I'm sort of sitting at around a 5 for Dylan Smith. Let's see what anyone else reckons. 4.3. Yeah, people are going after him. As I said, didn't have his best game. I think Morne van den Berg needs more game time. I think he's a very exciting scrum half. I think he's far more attacking nature, which I think will suit the likes of Jordan Hendrickse. Who's up next? I thought he had a difficult game. I thought he had some very nice... He looked very good at the start. Started off very nicely. Had some nice kicks in behind. He's got a very big boot, so he looked pretty promising, but then kind of faded away. A couple of rash passes. I think 5 is probably a fair decision. Couple of passes didn't go to hand. It was much better than in Fraser Lenga, but 5.7. So I would probably went a bit low. I think he was probably better than Dylan Smith. We can't really go in 0.5s though, so maybe counting against him. But you know what? I didn't think he was bad at all. I think that he had a couple of nice kicks. He just looks very composed, which is nice to see. So hopefully that he's back in the Currie Cup start. He'll start in the Currie Cup next week, and we can really sort of see what he's worth. Rainer Opperman, the box of Albert Lovitz in for the future. Oh yeah. Peace after Toy, you know, if you start slacking off, best believe there are a couple of players coming for that. I think Evan Lewis is another one who's sort of storming his way onto block radar as well. So those 3 are definitely going to be in and around that setup very, very soon. Next up is Ras McLaren, who I was frustrated because he's such a good finisher, and he just didn't get much ball. Defense is always going to be a bit of issues defensively. I think with him, I thought he was much better than Jumbo Lenga. He made 1 defender beaten, 45 meters gained. He scored a try. But, you know, 2 tackles made, 1 missed, 1 turnover, 1 try. Probably a 6 from Rabs. Didn't get a lot of opportunities, so it's difficult to really sort of see what he can do. But I think people are probably going to go a bit lower here than him, actually. But I thought he scored a nice try. Lots of pace there. Tried very hard. Had an 6.3. Fair enough. We'll get to Jumbo Lenga, who I thought was pretty ordinary, unfortunately. Burger Udendal, man in the inside centre. Lots of experience, and we needed him to step up today. I thought he was pretty solid. I mean, took a while to go into the game. Won a nice turnover. Obviously, was very important in the first try. Put Frankie Horn into a gap for the second. He made 6 tackles, 2 missed. He won 2 turnovers on the ground. 1 turnover conceded, 5 passes, 1 defender beaten, 48 meters gained. Probably sitting at around a 6, I reckon. Maybe a 7. Nah, I'll probably go with a 6 for him. Probably actually should have gone for a 7. I don't know, it's difficult. I wouldn't say I was overly impressed, but he had 6. So there you are. I think 6 is about fair. I think he had a pretty average game. Manuel Russ, I feel sorry for Manuel Russ because he's been on the fringes for a long time and then suddenly sort of been thrust into the middle with Nosa Milani, and he had a lot to do defensively, and look, it doesn't make for good reading. He made a couple of good tackles. He made 8 tackles and missed 3. So it's a 73% tackle success rate, which isn't great. He made no clean breaks, 9 meters made. It doesn't say how many carries he had. 1 turnover 1. Yeah, I thought he had a bit of a tough time, Emmanuel Russ, but he's been starved of game time, so it's very difficult for him to come from being out in the sort of being frozen out to now having to try and stop the likes of Chris Harris and Stuart Hogg and stuff like that. So I'll probably go with a 6 for him. 4.7. Well, that's a lot lower than I thought. I think that's hard. I think that they targeted him a lot. There was so much space. As I think he had a horrible time because Stuart Hogg joined that line so often, and there was just so many numbers in that outside channel, and you kind of sort of feel what's he supposed to do. We weren't very good at shifting our defense to the left or the right and give him aid. So I think 5 maybe would have been fair for him. I think anything lower than that's a little bit harsh. Jumbo Lenga, I wasn't impressed with it at all. Big Jumbo, he made a lot of tackles in the first half, but I mean they scored all the. As I said, Josh Adams was opposite him, and he scored 4 tries. So, how much do you have to start looking at him? So, Big Jumbo, 1 defender beaten, 77% tackle made 10 tackles, missed 3, 1 turnover, 1 offload, but he was just a little bit nowhere, wasn't he? So I'm going to sort of go in towards a 4. Back in the fray is Jumbo Lenga. He's Springbok captain, so he should be one of the better Lions players. 3.7, yeah, people weren't happy with his performance. We've seen him play better, but he's just had a career with injury and stuff like that. He just never really kicked on and went on to do anything. EW for Ewan, I thought tried very hard today. I think that he's a frustrating player because I think that unfortunately I think he's just too slow. I think he's got a reasonable amount of creativity. He was horrible under the high ball the first couple of kicks, but sort of grew into the game, and you can see he was trying to make something happen, but he just doesn't have the pace, and that's the problem. Can he be a long-term fullback? I just don't think he can. And I was actually surprised when I saw how young he was because you kind of look at him run and you kind of feel that he just doesn't have that sort of burst of pace. If he had some decent pace, he might be a decent player. But I thought he was fairly solid, so I'll go with a 6 for him. I thought he tried pretty hard. He was out of place for a couple of tries. So as I said, maybe I should have gone for 5. I think positioning-wise, he probably wasn't great. He was all right in the attack, trying to make something work. 4.7 is probably close to the right. I probably should have gone with 5. Jakob Asaki, I thought, was the only front row who actually came on and looked like he wanted to play. He won a very important turnover, which pretty much saved a try. So when he came on, he made 1 carry, big turnover 1, 2 tackles, 1 missed, meters gained 3. But yeah, he made a very big turnover, so I'm sort of leaning towards a 6 for him as well. I thought he was pretty solid. He looked like he wanted to play. Line out throwing, I think he lost 1. So I'll kind of go with a 6 for him. 5.3, so I've gone a bit higher. Some of the comments said, LB the Suffer, Lenga is never good, to be honest. Well, he made the box, so he was in decent form back in 2016, but as I said, he just never kicked on. 2X Gaming says Lenga must go to Japan. If you must just try and convert to being a 10. I just don't think he's got enough pace to be able to make it at the highest level, unfortunately. Also, the Lions, I'd probably rather have him at 10 than Fred Zalinger after what I saw today. But in theory, Alton Yankees come back. In theory, you've got Gianni Lombardi comes back from injury. Romania lost against Argentina 17-24. That's a hell of a result. What sort of Argentinian side was playing? Is it all the regular faces? I'm seeing Montoya at hooker. I'm seeing Lavanini. I'm seeing Matera. I'm seeing Cubelia, Sanchez, La Fuente. That's a proper Argentina side. So that's a huge result there. Well, upset of the weekend. Steve Satole. I think Steve Satole and Carlos Sardi both actually struggled quite a lot when they came on. They were supposed to be deployed as our sort of auxiliary front row that were going to come on and try and sort of change the match in the dying moments. It just didn't work at all. So I'm putting it with a 4 for Steve. I thought he really struggled at scrum time. I think Carlos Sardi is going to be much the same. 4.7, so I went a bit lower. But Carlos Sardi, I think I'm also putting in over the 7. They just kind of got demolished at scrum time. We didn't have a single scrum penalty until they came on, and then I think we had 3 with them on the field. So they're both getting 4.7s here according to everybody. So I went a little bit lower there. Ruben Schumann came on. He won a nice turnover next to Frankie Horn. Didn't have too many minutes. It's difficult to sort of rate him and Emmanuel Chituka because they hardly had any minutes. He didn't carry. So Chituka and Strowley. I'll just give them solid 5s. We can't really judge them. They didn't play much. For 4.7, and I'll go with a 5 for Emmanuel Chituka as well because they came on and then they didn't have much time to do much. So I think that's if you're going to give them a 4, I think Emmanuel Chituka had 25 minutes. That's Jakob Asaki. Emmanuel Chituka had 11 minutes. You're going to give a 4 on 11 minutes. It's just I think that's harsh. And Ruben Australia had the same, I think. No, so yeah, he had 14 minutes. Ooh, 14 minutes. So it's difficult to call. Morning van den Berg actually had 27 minutes. He made all 4 of his tackles, 3 turnovers, 1 as well. Made a very good turnover on the ground. So I thought he was much better than Dylan Smith actually when he came on. Maybe a little bit over eager, but I'll probably give him a solid 7. I thought that he was actually one of the better players who was trying to get something. In fact, maybe a 6 would have been better. Probably a 6 actually. 5.3. Yeah, I think 6 would have been fair. I think I've probably gone higher, so I'll actually change mine to a 6. But I think, yeah, I think he was just over eager. I think, he tried. I mean, took a penalty quickly, which I don't think he should have. But he won a very important turnover on the ground, which also stopped a try. And he also made made quite a good tackle as well. Made a couple of snags. He needs more game time. He's so much better than Dylan Smith is, and I'd really like to see him get a decent extended run and see if he can sort of nail down a spot. Fred Zalinger came on. He kicked the ball straight into touch off the kickoff. When we had some of the ball, he kicked it straight into touch as well and trying to play a bit of a territory game. I'm going down with a 3, maybe even a 2 actually would have been fairer. I'd be interested to see what everybody else has had to say, because I thought he was fairly horrid. 4. That's interesting. Has anybody got less than a 4? Yeah, Jambe Lenga got a 3.7. So I don't think Fred Zelling was much better than Jumbo, to be honest. I thought he was full of errors when he came on. And Dan Creel, well, if Dan Creel made the tackle, he wouldn't have scored that 4th try. So he gets a 3 for me. I thought it was pretty nebulous. I thought Emmanuel Asu people were quite harsh on. So I'm interested to see what 3.7. Yeah, so we went a bit low. As I said, you've got to make your tackles. You've got to make your tackles, and he didn't. Tackle success rate of 0%. Didn't make any carries. So he made 1 carry to beat 2 defenders. Yeah, it wasn't a great game. But I mean, it's difficult as well with the amount of time. But it was just a tackle he had to make, and he didn't make it. So yeah, so that's the Sigma Lions. We can now go on to those British and Irish Lions ones. Chelsea games to the whole bench should get 5 or less. Yeah, they weren't. It just didn't work. The new front row. On the other hand. Right, British and Irish Lions, who will be looking much better, probably sitting much more. I don't think we're going to have anybody more less than a 6 or 7. Wyn Jones thought he had a try. Didn't really have much scrum ascendancy, though. Only made 1 carry, made 8 tackles, though. Didn't miss a single tackle. So, 3 meters made. I don't know. What do you reckon about Wyn Jones? It was a quiet performance. You hating on the Crin Tweels this week? Yeah, look, Jesse, I was just frustrated at last night because I thought that we had such good wins. He just needs to pass the bloody ball, and then Dan didn't make that tackle today. So no, I'm not. Wouldn't say I've got an agenda against them. I just don't think that they had particularly good games. Yeah, Wyn Jones was quite quiet. The scrums were solid enough, but they didn't really have scrum ascendancy. So I mean, 8 tackles, he didn't miss a single tackle, so it's harsh to give him a 6 for average. But maybe a 7, maybe a 6 or 7, probably a 7. Problem is, if you're giving him a 7, you're kind of only going up from there. 5, yeah, I think 6 is where I would have probably gone. I'm actually changing my mind. Let me be a bit harsher here. We totally messed up on our batting. Yes, don't even get me started on the cricket. I'm so over us buckling and looking in a good position. Jamie George, well, he butchered the try. I mean, how he didn't score that try, I have absolutely no idea. It was incredible. 2 carries, 12 tackles, 1 missed tackle, 4 meters gained, 4 passes. Solid enough from him, so I'll give him a. So Wyn Jones is actually sitting on a 4.5 after my 6, by the way. So Jamie George, maybe a 6. He was good at line-out time, I suppose. So maybe I'm being harsh. 12 tackles, probably I am being quite harsh. Yeah, I probably should have gone 7. Well. Carl Sinclair, he looked like a man who was trying to prove something. He didn't really get much of scrum ascendancy, but 5 carries from him, making 21 meters, 2 offloads, 12 tackles, didn't miss a tackle, 1 turnover, 1. I thought he had quite a good game. I thought that he looked quite solid. I think he's out there trying to prove quite a lot of people wrong. So I'll go with a 7 for him. I think he was fairly solid. 6.5. Yeah, okay. Mario Toji, well, I thought he was he won 2 or 3lineouts. And 8 carries he made. He made 10 tackles. He missed just 1 tackle, 1 turnover, 1. As I said, 2 lineouts he stole. He beat 4 defenders. 1 offload, a very good. 2 lineouts, 1. I thought it was a very good game from Mario Toji. So I'm going to go with an 8. I thought he looked very, very good today. 7.5. Okay. So we're in about there. Johnny Hill. I wasn't blown away by Johnny Hill. I mean, he's one of those locks. He's very easy to dislike. You know, he always sort of sits on the fringes of being offside and sort of being he pulls people into rucks. He's always sort of bit of a lazy runner. But he made 10 tackles. He missed 2 tackles. He had a try assist, I suppose, and an offload and 5 carries. But I didn't think he blew the door down. So I'll go with a 6 for him. 6, yeah, fair enough. Put it this way, I mean, I don't think that he's gonna knock down the door for a starting spot on the test. Courtney Laws, the main ball carrier, made 9 carries today, made 12 tackles. He didn't miss a single tackle. 2 defenders beaten, 6 passes, 1 offload, 20 meters gained. I think probably a solid 7. I thought he was pretty good actually. 6.5. No, I think it's maybe a bit harsh. I was quite impressed with Courtney Laws. Maybe didn't make as much ground as he wanted to. Henderson now saying Carlson was trash against the Lions scrum. I think trash is probably a bit harsh. It's not like they won in they lost any of their scrums. They just didn't really sort of dominate. I think that the Springbok scrum will be delighted to have seen what they did. Hamish Watson, well, he was man of the match, so we kind of have to go down to 9, don't we? Immediately, maybe 8 if we're being harsh. But Hamish Watson had 7 carries, 16 tackles, didn't miss a single one. He made 24 meters, 3 defenders beaten, 7 passes, 1 clean break. Yeah, I'm going to sit there with a 9. Very, very good performance from Hamish Watson, I thought. 8. Okay, so I'm 1 more than people thought. Talape Falatau was quite quiet, I thought, actually. I thought for somebody who's so always in the thick of things, in fact, and always very involved. 7 carries, 12 tackles, didn't miss a tackle, but nobody really missed tackles. 3 defenders beaten. I thought it was quite quiet. So over the 6, I kind of expect more from him. I think he's supposed to be one of their major ball carriers, and you kind of agree with the 6 there. Ali Price, well, he scored a try, so he always sort of gets that extra 1. He had a clean break. His tackle success rate, he missed 2 and only tackled 1, so maybe it wasn't his best game, but he had quite quick delivery and was pretty good. But I think, he scored a try, but, missing 2 more tackles than he actually had to make. Yeah, I'll probably sit with a 6 for Ali Price. Maybe a 7 would have been a bit fair. I thought his delivery was pretty solid. 6.5, yeah, maybe I should have gone up for a 7. We're not far away in our assessments. Finn Russell. Well, he made 3 tackles and missed 2. He won 2 turnovers, 1 try assist, 32 passes, 37 meters gained. Yeah, what do you guys think of Finn Russell? I thought he actually was. He just seemed to click, didn't it? He had a very nice kick pass, which they scored a try off. He just looked so composed. He looked like he had plenty of time on the ball, did Finn Russell. So I'll probably go with a solid 7. I'm a big Finn Russell fan, and I hope that he can sort of kick on and be very good. Yeah, there we go. We're on the same page. I thought a solid game from him. Josh Adams. Will we give our first ever 10? I mean, 4 tries. I mean, how do you? Is that a 10-star performance? We haven't given a 10 yet in the channel. This is only our second show doing this. But I mean, 4 tries, 1 tackle, 2 turnovers, 1. You made 64 meters, 6 defenders beaten, 5 clean breaks, 1 offload. No, I'm not going to give a perfect 10. I'll give a 9. You can have a 9 today, Josh Adams. You score 4 tries against the Box, I'll give you 10. 8.5. Okay, we're close there. Owen Farrell. I heard very mixed reviews about Owen Farrell. I think some people thought he was very good. Some people thought he was a bit average. I thought he grew into the game. I thought in the first half he was off the pace, but he kind of grew into the game and got a lot better. Did old Faz. He had an 88% tackle success rate. He made 14 tackles and missed 2. 2 turnovers conceded, only 1 turnover, 1. 15 passes, 20 meters game, 1 try assist for him. His kicking percentage was 100%. He kicked very well today, so I'll probably go with a 7 for him, because I'm probably going to go with a 6 for Chris Harris. Ultimate shop stopper, I said I'll give Josh a 9. Yeah, I went there. Owen Farrell, the Fred Zelling of the British Irish Lions. We can't give our first 10 to a foreigner. So I went Owen Farrell 7, they went 7.5. So some people impressed with his performance. Chris Harris, I thought, was someone who looked like he was trying very hard, but didn't really. I think he made quite a few meters. Yeah, 59 meters game, but not a single defender beaten, not a single clean break, 1 offload, 1 try assist, 10 tackles. He didn't miss a tackle. But I thought on attack, I didn't think he offered too much. He is very much a defensive centre, so maybe I should have probably gone with a 7. 6, no, that you guys agree. You guys agree, so cool, but we're on the same wing there. Right, well, Reece Zammit, well, I mean, I suppose that kind of that sums it up. I thought he was good when he had the opportunity, Reece Zammit, but he didn't get a lot of ball. 1 clean break from him, 1 defender beaten, 21 meters gained, 4 tackles, 1 missed. He scored a try, but he was quite quiet. As I said, I think the wings didn't really. I mean, it was all happening on the side of Josh Adams. So I think Reece Zammit was solid, but maybe nothing spectacular. So 6 or 7. He scored a try, so we'll bump it up to a 7 for him. And Stuart Hogg, for me, is probably going to get an 8. He's just, he's so good, is Stuart Hogg. He's just sublime. 69 meters gained, 3 passes, 3 defenders beaten, 1 offload. 3 tackles, not 1 missed. He made a try-saving tackle to stop Sanguini going over. He didn't miss a tackle. He was so good under the high ball with Stuart Hogg. Captain as well. So it has to be a solid 8. He's just probably one of the best fullbacks in the world is Stuart Hogg. I'm such a big fan of him. 7.5, so we're not far off in our assessment there. The bench, I don't really remember much of the bench, I don't really remember them and what they sort of did. And it wasn't Taylor Furlong, so it should have been Xander Ferguson, so that's wrong. Sorry about that. So we won't rate him, because let's not give Taylor Furlong an average performance when he didn't even play. Luke Cowan-Dickie got 11 minutes. When you get 11 minutes, but you win, you get a 6. They didn't do anything. He didn't have time to do anything. So 6.5. Marco Villapolo, look, he won a scrum penalty as well. Villapolo got some more minutes. I mean, he played about 25 minutes, 1 carry, 2 tackles, missed a tackle though. Very good at scrum time. They won a couple of penalties, so maybe a 7, because I think that those penalties were probably one of the reasons they actually managed to go into the game and score some tries later. 8.5. Cheapers. People are going with like a 9 out of 10 for Villapolo. I thought he was very good at scrum time. Made a massive difference. Up against Steve Stoller. Not Steve Stoller, up against Carly Sadi. I'm not sure I would have gone 9 territory, which is where people are obviously at. I think that's being very generous. We'll skip the non-existent Taylor Furlong. Ian Henderson didn't get a lot of minutes today, just 11 minutes from him. 6, you got to give us 6, don't you? When you don't get to do much, you can't get much more than that, can you? 6.5. Sam Simmons, he looked actually very bright. Had a very nice break. He made 4 carries, 3 tackles, 90 meters made, 1 defender beaten, 3 tackles. He was on for 25 minutes, so maybe a 7. He looked very bright. So, yeah, 6.5. We're not far off in our assessment. Gareth Davies scores a try. He probably gets a 7 just by virtue of scoring a try. He also made the 3 tackles he had to make. 2 defenders beaten, 9 passes. Yeah, so we'll give you a solid 7, Gareth. For your 20 minutes contribution. Solid enough, scoring a try. Bundy Aki, did he even carry the ball? Made 1 tackle, yeah, you get a 6. Come here and you man to make your 11 minutes. You don't get much more than a 6, unfortunately. Elliot Daley, he actually looked pretty good when he came on. 1 clean break for him, 4 defenders beaten, 2 passes, 1 clean break, 1 offload, 2 try assists from Daley. So I'll probably go with a 7 for him. Maybe should have gone with an 8, but 20 minutes played. Is it enough to get an 8? 7. Did I go with a 7 as well? So I said 7. Yeah, cool. So we're in agreement there. Mark Justice Garrett did well scoring a try when he came on 7. Definitely a fair score. Yeah, I think it's just difficult to give players who didn't play a lot of rugby a higher score. But yeah, overall, if I had to rate the Lions' performance, I would put it at probably about an 8, maybe an 8.5. I thought it was very good, but I think that it must be quite frustrating seeing what is supposed to be a very dominant pack being held for that first half. Second half they started winning some scrum penalties, but they didn't really get a scrum ascendance. Their maul wasn't phenomenal. I think they only had 1 really good maul. So I think that they'll be a little bit worried about the physicality. If you can't bully a Lions side, a young Lions side, what are you going to do up against the box side? But I thought the backline looked like it ticked quite pretty well. I thought Finn Russell and Owen Farrell were pretty solid next to each other. Stuart Hogg was class as always. Some big performances from Toji, Hamish Watson. And for the Sigma Lions, I'd probably give it a 6.5. I'm not going to be that person that goes give them a 3 or 4 out of 10, because I think that you've got to add a perspective. You know, they're not supposed to do well. They weren't supposed to win. They didn't win. They didn't do particularly well. But they had some nice moments. They were in the game until about 60 minutes. I mean, if we look at the score, at 60 minutes, the score was 35-14 at 60 minutes. So look, I'm not saying that they were in the game. But that was just before after the Josh Adams try. So before the Josh Adams try, in the 53rd minute, it was 14 points to 28. So they did really well for the first sort of 53, 55 minutes. And then after that, they ran in a couple of tries towards the end. You know, Josh Adams with his double in the last sort of 12 minutes. Garrett Davies 65, Josh Adams 68, Josh Adams 71. So, you know, take away 21 points from the final score, it's a little bit more respectable. So, but yeah, I mean, it's a tough day at the office for the Lions. But John, let me know what you thought of the game down in the comments. Smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel. We will do a wrap up of the Curry Cup tomorrow because we haven't really been giving that much attention. So you can keep an eye out for that. And then we will be pretty much building up towards the next Lions game, which is on Wednesday. We'll have Ivan van Rooyen's press conference up as well. We're going to have media, hopefully some media opportunities tomorrow for the Springboks. And then their team announcement is on Tuesday. So I think the British and Irish Lions will probably be announcing their lineup on Monday. Sharks should also be announcing their lineup in the next day or two for their clash on Wednesday. So yeah, smash like the video, subscribe. See you guys in the next live stream, which will be in a couple of days' time. And thank you for what's been a fantastic weekend. Enjoy the weekend, enjoy your Sunday, and chat.